Hi, this is CK at CK Education, and today I want to talk about being your own boss. When I graduated college, I went into sales and management and recruiting, and I did engineering, I did consulting, I did instructional work, I did all kinds of things, but primarily I was an engineer up until about 2007. And that's when I left the corporate world. I was working in a government agency at the time, actually, and I decided I want to do my own thing. I want to be my own boss. I want to set my own schedule. I don't want to report to anybody. I got tired of the commute. I got tired of reporting to somebody. Not that I had a bad boss. I had a wonderful boss. But it can take its toll. I had done, I had worked for someone for in different corporations and government agencies for nearly 15 years or something like that. So I decided I wanted to be my own boss. And some of you would love to be your own boss, but you just don't know how to make that transition. You just don't know how to make that work. So for those of you who are in that sort of dilemma, let me share my story and maybe it'll help you. So I think that the first step is to really, really want to be your own boss. Now, this may sound obvious, but like most things in life, the most important battle that you will fight is right here in your head. It is not the outside stuff as much. There are external factors to be sure, but the biggest battle will be the battle in your head. Because if fear overcomes you, you will be paralyzed. You will not be able to move. You'll just stay put. And then 15 years later, you'll think, man, I wish I could be my own boss. Man, I wish I would have taken the steps then. Man, I wish I would have left first base so I could go to second base back then. But I didn't. Why? Because I was too afraid. To be clear, emotions, especially fear, is probably one of the biggest obstacles in people making progress. And it's not that I wasn't afraid, but my desire to get out of the employee lifestyle was much greater than my fear of not making it or my fear of what might happen when the income stops coming in and all these fears that normal people have. When I was in grad school, this was I was in my 30s, and I didn't go for any other reason except for I just wanted to go to grad school. I don't know. This is just something I had thought about since I was in college. Back then, when I was an engineering major, there was this consultant who came in, and he had an MBA, a master's in business administration. I don't know why. And he was talking to us, and I just thought that's really cool. I mean, I didn't even know back then that you could have an engineering degree and then get an MBA. I don't know why. I didn't think of it. I just thought you have an engineering degree. Of course, you're going to get a graduate degree in engineering as well. And I didn't want to do that. But I said, oh, I didn't know you could get an MBA. I was very ignorant back then. And so I don't know. Since then, I just always thought someday I'm going to get an MBA. I want to get an MBA. So anyway, in my 30s, I went back and I was studying, and I didn't need the degree. I mean, I wasn't trying to use it to get ahead or get promoted or anything like that. By then, I had already had my own business, and I knew going in that it was really not going to help me in any way in my business. But like I said, I just wanted to get a graduate degree. So literally, it was that simple. I took the test and whatever, applied, and I did. But we studied in a cohort program, which means I think there were about 20. There's about 20 or 25 of us who started in the program together, and we went the entire 2.5 years or so through the program together. So we got to know each other pretty well, and I made some great friends, and they're still friends today through the program. But I was one of the older ones. I was one of the five oldest students in the class, and I was in my 30s, but there were a few ladies there who were like 40, and so forth. And most of the people who were studying with me, and I think this is true for most MBA classes, you tend to get a little bit of an older students in your class, because people who pursue MBAs, a lot of them want to want to get promoted to management, they want to go into management. They're seeking a higher degree so they can get advancements in their careers. But most people, they already have some experience. And so I think when you look at a typical MBA class, the age average tends to be a little bit higher, I think, than other programs. But I mean, we had some younger people there as well. But we had some who were a little bit older. And a few of them, once we got to know each other well, they all knew that I was an engineer and I was doing my own business. So several of them came up to me and they said, "Man, I would love to do what you're doing. You know, you have your own schedule. You can come to class like this and not worry about, you got to go to work and your boss might call you or all these things." And I said, they said, "I'd love to do that." And I said, "Why don't you?" And their answers are all the same. "I just don't know how to make the transition." And more specifically, one of them said to me, "I don't know how to fill that income gap. Because once you stop your job and I'm going to do this, the income stops coming in. And you're like, oh, I don't have income. And I still haven't built my business enough to cover this income that I used to get." So there is that transition. So let me tell you how I did it. And let me tell you, I think, the best way that you should go about doing it, in my opinion. Okay, so when I decided in 2007 I was going to leave the corporate world, my engineering world, my salaried positions, okay, once and for all, I'm not looking back. I'm going to go and I'm going to be my own boss. Again, the biggest barrier is fear. And the biggest motivator is your desire. And the desire to be your own boss has to be greater than any fear that you have. If your fear is greater, you're not going to make it. Okay, so you have to overcome that in your mind. But assuming you've overcome that, you don't want to just quit your job and say, "I'm going to be my own boss." I think that's very foolish. Okay, and that's not the way I did it. I had saved up money, and back then, when I was working as an engineer, I was also working, not working, but I was also dabbling, shall we say, in real estate. I was a real estate investor, and so I had several homes, and I had tenants, and on and on. And back then, the real estate market was hot. It was doing well, so it's easy to make money, easy to get loans, and so so when I quit my salaried job, my life as an employee, I had money saved up, money that I could probably live if I was careful, if I was frugal. I could probably live about a year, maybe close to a year, and I had about that much saved up. Okay, so that's step number one. Is you got to have money saved up. You can't just, "I'm going to quit this job and I'm gonna try to figure something out." You're going to be on the streets. Okay, maybe that's an exaggeration, but you don't want to do it that way. So you got to have money saved up. So you got to have a plan. And while I'm working this job, I'm going to save money. The more, the better. I mean, if you can have a year's worth saved up, if you can have 2 years worth saved up, even better. But sometimes that's hard, I understand. But let's say you should have at least a year's worth of money saved up, so that even if you stop working, you can still live a year on the money that you have saved up. Okay, so assuming you have that, you want to do something that you can start doing even without quitting this job. Okay, and if you're doing that, sometimes you don't even have to have the 1 year's worth saved up. I still recommend having many months, at least 6 months saved up. Now, the best case scenario is you're working your job, and then during the day, and then on evenings or weekends, you're working to build your business. Okay, so you're doing things and you're getting one client, you're getting 2 clients, okay, whatever that thing might be, and you're making a little bit of money with the business part-time while you're still working your full-time job. Now, if you keep growing this little business, it's going to get to a point that you can't do both because you get so busy, and this is growing. But when you see that growth, at some point, even if this may not be as big as your current job, you're going to have to quit that so that this can continue to grow. And that's why it's important that you have some money saved up. If you don't have money saved up, you're like, "Ooh, I'm only making half of what I was making here, but I have to let this go if I'm going to continue this business." And if you're serious about continuing that business, when you cut this, what's going to happen to the other half half of the money that you used to get that you're not getting anymore, but you need. Well, you have to have that money saved up. That's why it's so important to have that cushion. You got to have the money saved up while you're working the job. You're working on this, growing this business. It gets to a certain point where you really can't do both. It's really conflicting now. You have to, you have to cut it, and you'll know when you get there. You cut it, you have money saved up, and you continue growing this business. Now, the time that you used to put in doing this job of yours, you stop doing. You were doing that 7, 8 hours a day. Now you're putting those hours into grow this business. Okay, so you do that, and then you grow this business. And I always say, and I always tell people, if you're not willing to put 3 to 5 years, the first 3 to 5 years of building that business, if you're not willing to go all in, when I say all in, what does that mean? All in means you're basically working 7 days a week, 365 days a year. 365 days a year, like I want to be my own boss so that I can have more time and I can have more freedom. I understand. We're getting there. I understand that. First 3 to 5 years, I'm saying. I'm not saying forever. I'm saying the first 3 to 5 years, because you got to build this thing so that you get some kind of momentum, so that at some point you don't have to work those hours. But in the beginning, first 3 to 5 years, you got to go all in. Now, when I say 7 days a week, 365 days a year, I am not exaggerating too much. When I started my business, the first 5 or 6 years, I worked 7 days a week. I worked 50 to 60 hours a week. I worked on Saturdays, for example, 10 in the morning to 11:30 at night straight. Sundays I'd work. I took Christmas Day and Thanksgiving Day off, 2 days off a year. Every other day I worked, okay? And so now people look at me today and say, well, you get 5 weeks off, you got Sundays off, you don't start until 3, you got a lot of free time, you're always doing something, you're always going somewhere. Yeah. But this is like the 11th year I'm doing this, or 12th year or whatever. It wasn't like that the first 5 or 6 years. My family didn't really see me. Now, this is the sacrifice that you need to make. Now, if you are not willing to make the sacrifice, you got to consider the cost before building your tower, right? You got to consider the cost. If you are not willing to do this, you don't want to do this. Oh, I didn't know it was going to take that. I'm just going to go back to my job and I'll just do my job and I'll just retire there. I didn't know it was going to be like that. Yeah, you shouldn't even start. But if you're willing to, so far, what you're listening to, you say, yeah, I want to do that. I could do that. I want to do that. All right, so stay with me then. So you're doing that first 3 to 5 years, and maybe longer, but something like that. I think if you have a good idea, you have a good business, and you're doing it 3 to 5 years like that, you should be able to build your business into a pretty strong, consistent business in that time. If you're working like that in that time and you don't make it, you're doing something wrong, I think. Okay. I mean, if it takes you 10 years to get your, solidify your business, then I don't know, that's kind of, I mean, you should really be able to do it within 3 to 5 years. Okay. So now what kind of business? That's a completely different topic. I mean, look, I think that the best business, and let me just differentiate between buying a business and being a true entrepreneur. I think they're different categories. Okay. When I say be your own boss, I'm not saying you're going to get a $300,000 loan and go buy a Dunkin' Donuts, or you're going to get a $300,000 loan and buy a gas station, or get a $300,000 loan and get a dry cleaner, or get a deli shop, or buy some kind of an education business. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about getting a big loan and then quitting your job and then hoping and praying that this thing is going to float and it's going to do well and it's going to replace that income that you just left. I'm not talking about that. I am not talking about getting a loan and buying a business. I don't consider that necessarily entrepreneurship. I'm talking about you have an idea, okay, and you are building that business from zero, and you are building it from scratch. It's not, you're not putting a lot of money into it. You're putting a lot of labor into it, okay? You're putting a lot of time and energy into it, but not necessarily a lot of money. Now, you will need money sometimes for marketing, for advertising, and things like that. But I'm not talking about getting a loan and buying a business, okay? This is pure, from scratch entrepreneurship. So in doing that, whatever your idea is, and you have to pick something, just for example, I went into education. So I started out really just teaching essay writing. That's what I started doing. And then I got a demand for SAT, but I didn't know anything about it. So I created a system and I started teaching SAT. And then I was like, well, sort of the natural college prep progression is SAT, and then kids need help with their college essays, but they need help with their financial aid, and then kids go on to graduate school, so they need graduate school admissions, that help, and so I do that, and then I started the business, started growing, and I added a lot of services as I went, and then you become known, and then you become the expert in your field. That's really what you want to do, and then you don't, I advertise heavily and I marketed heavily. I wrote columns, I did seminars, I did all kinds of things to get my name known, because nobody knew about me. You have to get known. But as you're getting known, you have to be really good so that the word spreads and word of mouth spreads. And no matter what business you're in, you have to put your customers, you have to put your clients, you have to put people before profits. I know that people go into business trying to make money. They want to make money. I understand that. But it's this ironic thing that if you chase money, money will run away from you. Don't chase money, okay? In fact, don't even chase customers. You want to attract customers, and you want to attract money. It's a different thing. So it's a mindset thing. You don't want to chase money. You don't want to chase customers, okay? You want to attract customers, and you want to attract money. And the way you do that is first being excellent at what you do. You want to charge premium. You don't want to go cheap. You don't want to be in the middle. If you want to be the best, aim at being the best. Think about the best at anything. If you want to buy the best car, is it the cheapest car? No. If you want to buy the best phone, is it the cheapest phone? No. You want to buy the best house, the best land, is it the cheapest? No, it's the most expensive. So again, that's another mental barrier you have to overcome. Well, I can't charge prices that are that high, okay? It's a mental barrier you have to overcome. And I don't know if I could really be the best. I mean, I haven't been doing it that long. There's other people who have been doing it for so many more years. It's a mental barrier you have to overcome. That's why I keep saying everything, your success in anything it goes back to your software. It goes back to your mindset. If you don't believe in yourself that you can be the best, you can't be the best. If you don't believe in yourself that you can charge higher prices, you're not gonna. You're gonna be scared, and you're always gonna charge low prices. If you're scared of putting your face out there in advertisements or papers or YouTube, whatever it is, you're just not going to be known as well as if you do that. There are many things that are required for success, and if you don't overcome those mental barriers, you're just not going to get there. That's why I always say the success is not about the tactics, the methods. Everybody wants to know methods. How did you do it and all that? I go back to, no, you got to first fix your mind. You have to first fix the way you think. You have to think differently so that the actions you take stick. If you don't change the way you think, you might try to copy somebody, but then you're going to revert back to your old ways because you haven't changed your mindset. So it's the most important thing. But once you get going, 3 to 5 years, you're working your butt off, and you've established your name, your business, and customers are now flocking to you. What's the important thing? Look, I always say that it's easy to be glitzy, like fireworks, and then what is it with fireworks? It's glitzy. How long does it last though? A few seconds, burns out. I see a lot of businesses doing this. So they get good. They get 3 to 5 years, they're really good. Or the first month of the restaurant's open, really good, right? The first year of the business, really good. 3 years later, 5 years later, what happens? Decline. Why? Because the person who's in charge of the business got complacent, got lazy, got arrogant, thinking, I got this. I don't need it. I don't need to treat people well anymore. They're getting arrogant. They're getting greedy. What got them to their success, they don't do anymore. They get complacent. This is the beginning of the decline of a business. And this is a very predictable trend. People have written books on this. I am so careful. I am so aware of that. This is my 11th or 12th year doing this. And I think today, just like I did on day one, that I have to do my best. I have to work hard. I can't take anything for granted. I have to develop authentic, real relationships. I have to put people over profits. I have to put quality over quantity. I have to attract customers and money, not chase after them. I have to build a good name. That's more important than wealth. A good name is more important than wealth. My reputation is more important than wealth. I have to stay humble. I have to continue to improve. I have to keep doing and working on how do I get better and better and better. Every day, I have to do that. I have to develop long-term goals. I have to work on myself. I have to become better. It is only that kind of mindset that gives you a chance to maintain your success. And I hope that my business, I can maintain its success over the next decades and decades. Never take for granted your success. When you reach a certain level, so you got through those first 3 to 5 years, you worked really, really hard, great, and now your business is doing well. Customers are coming to you. Do not get complacent. Do not get greedy. Do not get arrogant. Do not take your eyes off the ball. You have to stay focused just like you did. This is the thing about being an entrepreneur that's different than being an employee. If you're an employee, other people have their eyes on the ball. The CEO has and the boss has. You just got to do the work and you can go home and you forget about it. An entrepreneur, you can never forget what you're doing because you are the business. You are the business. Okay. So it's so important to keep your eyes focused every single moment on your business, and its success is your success. Your success is its success. There is no difference there. You are the business. Okay. It's not like you and the business. I am my business. And so that's a different mindset that it takes to become an entrepreneur. Now, so let's say you sustain the success. Good job. And then at that point, well, I want to grow. I want to do this. That's a different video. That's a different story. Just get to that level. Okay. So you start out at 0. You're an employee. I told you the steps to get there. Okay. Now, and I threw some things in there about pricing and about marketing, things like that, and building a reputation. Those are very, very, very important. If you have more specific questions, it's very difficult to put this all in just one video. It could get very long. If you have very specific questions, just leave a comment. Please put your questions in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them and see if I can help you along the best I can. But anyways, I hope that helps, and I hope that if you're thinking about going from an employee to an entrepreneur, that gives you some solid advice, some solid methods that you can use to help you along the way. And I hope it does. So I really appreciate you watching the video. Thanks for watching always. And there are many other videos on my channel about this kind of stuff and about many other things, about mindsets and things like that. So I really encourage you to watch that. Again, thanks for watching. And until my next video, I hope you stay well.